Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't—
Cathy Engelbert, you said Caitlin Clark should be grateful of the WNBA. What?
It's the moment that just might have shattered the WNBA forever. In a quiet press room, a single player looked directly into the cameras and decided she had nothing left to lose. What she revealed wasn't just a complaint, it was an explosion from the inside, a brutal, shocking expose of the very person in charge. She pulled back the curtain on a leadership style so out of touch, so arrogant, that it's left an entire league questioning everything. This isn't just drama, this is a full-scale rebellion. So, if you want the real, unfiltered story of how one press conference brought the WNBA to its knees, you need to hear this. It all started with Minnesota Lynx star and Olympian Napheesa Collier.
Biggest news in the W is the searing comments from Napheesa Collier in her exit interview earlier this week.
She wasn't just any player giving an end-of-season interview. She's a leader, a respected veteran, and she used that platform to detonate. She didn't hold back, calling the WNBA's leadership, and I quote, the worst in the world. But that was just the opening shot. The real shock was what she claimed the league's commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, had told her in a private conversation about the one player everyone is tuning in to see, Caitlin Clark. The unified war cry from players was immediate and powerful, underscoring that Collier's frustration was shared league-wide.
We have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world. If I didn't know exactly what the job entailed, maybe I wouldn't feel this way.
Aya Wilson, the 2025 league MVP, stated she was disgusted by the alleged comments and expressed deep appreciation for Collier's leadership in representing the players. This sentiment was echoed up and down the league. Sophie Cunningham of the Phoenix Mercury was scathing in her criticism, calling the league's leadership shameful and asserting that they are failing us as players. She revealed that even NBA players had reached out to her, feeling shocked by how WNBA players were being treated. The support was not just from veterans. New stars also joined the chorus. Chicago Sky's Angel Reese gave Collier's interview a perfect 10 out of 10 no notes on social media. A simple yet powerful endorsement from one of the league's most prominent figures.
I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
This collective outrage showed a level of player unity that the league could not ignore, transforming a single complaint into a movement demanding change. The alleged grateful comment highlights a fundamental dispute over value and revenue sharing. While the commissioner denied the specific remark, Caitlin Clark herself responded by saying Collier had made a lot of very valid points and emphasized that we need great leadership at this time, calling this the most important moment in this league's history. The core of the issue is financial. The current WNBA Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA, does not guarantee players a fixed percentage of league revenue, unlike the NBA where players get about 50%. This structure means that even as the league's revenue and team values explode, with the average franchise value up 180% in the last year alone, player salaries have not kept pace. Analysis suggests WNBA players receive less than 7% of league revenue, a stark contrast to the 50% share in the NBA.
This commissioner could be about the fact that Caitlin Clark needs the league more than the league needs Caitlin Clark. Are you mental? You know what could happen, and I know nobody wants to see Caitlin Clark go to the Unrivaled. Everybody's made that clear. But I can tell you this right now, make it very clear. Caitlin Clark could come out and say, I'm going to the Unrivaled. I'm taking that $1 million offer. You know what would happen? Over 1 million people would start watching Unrivaled games overnight.
For context, a top WNBA player makes close to $250,000, while a top NBA player can earn around 200 times that amount. This disparity exists despite evidence that the WNBA's revenue per team today, when adjusted for inflation, exceeds where the NBA was at a similar point in its history. The players' fury over officiating is rooted in concerns for both their safety and the integrity of the game. Collier revealed that when she previously confronted Engelbert about officiating, the commissioner's response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. This dismissive attitude toward the universal concern in sports infuriated players. The issue is not just about bad calls, but a perceived structural failure. As reported by Sports Illustrated, a key problem is that WNBA referees are paid by the game, unlike NBA referees who are salaried employees, making the WNBA a potential stepping stone and creating challenges with retention and experience.
If Cathy truly feels that Caitlin should be grateful for her and grateful for the WNBA for her off-season league money, which, by the way, Caitlin had a lot of endorsement deals before she even came to the WNBA. If that is how she feels about Caitlin and it's not the reverse, not Cathy being grateful for Caitlin, that is so eye-opening.
Fever coach Stephanie White pointed to a lack of infrastructure and financial investment in officiating as core reasons for the inconsistent quality. The consequences are very real. Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve called the decision to assign a specific officiating crew to a physical playoff game malpractice after a play led to Collier's season-ending ankle injury. This connected the league's officiating directly to the health of its biggest stars, making it more than just a competitive issue, but one of player welfare. Faced with a full-blown crisis, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert made a public statement, but it did little to quell the anger. At a news conference before the WNBA Finals, Engelbert firmly denied the most explosive allegations, stating, "Obviously, I did not make those comments," specifically referring to the remark about Caitlin Clark. She called the reporting inaccurate and said she was disheartened by how the conversations were characterized.
And in that same conversation, she told me, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value.
However, she also struck a somewhat conciliatory tone, acknowledging if the players in the W don't feel appreciated and valued by the league, then we have to do better and I have to do better. Despite this, the damage to trust was severe. Reports indicated that a meeting scheduled between Engelbert and Collier for the following week was canceled, with sources describing the relationship as beyond repair. This breakdown occurred at a critical moment, with the league's collective bargaining agreement set to expire, putting the entire 2026 season in jeopardy. This entire controversy is set against the high-stakes backdrop of negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, CBA. The players are using this moment of peak league popularity to demand a fairer share of the financial success they are driving.
Shots after shots. Yo, Cathy said, forget what y'all talking about, be grateful.
The current CBA is set to expire on October 31st, and players have grown increasingly exasperated with the lack of progress in talks. Sophie Cunningham made the players' position clear, stating, "There's a potential lockout, because I promise you that we are not going to play until they give us what we deserve. The players' core demand is a revenue-sharing model more akin to the NBA's. Union President Nneka Ogwumike has emphasized that players are adamant that we get a percentage of revenue that grows with the business. While Commissioner Engelbert has stated her goal is to significantly increase player salary and benefits, she has also cautioned that there's a long way to go in the negotiations, acknowledging that an extension of the current agreement might be necessary to avoid a work stoppage.
And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. At some point, everyone deserves to hear the truth from someone who I hope has earned the benefit of the doubt to fight for what is right and fair for our athletes and our fans. We have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world.
All of this chaos is happening against the backdrop of the single most important business moment for the WNBA in decades, the negotiation of a new collective bargaining agreement. The current deal is set to expire on October 31st, and the Players Union has made it clear they are prepared to lock out to get what they believe they deserve. Sophie Cunningham was brutally honest, stating, "I promise you we are not going to play until they give us what we deserve." This isn't an empty threat. The league is at its most profitable and visible moment in history, and a work stoppage now would be catastrophic. Right now, with the deadline just weeks away, players are openly saying that negotiations are going backward not forward.
I could go on and on. You guys already know how I feel. I want to read Cathy Engelbert's statement back to Napheesa Collier. She said, "I have the utmost respect for Napheesa Collier and for all the players in the WNBA. Together, we have all worked tirelessly to transform this league. My focus remains on ensuring a bright future for the players and the WNBA, including collaborating on how we continue to elevate the game. I am disheartened by how Napheesa characterized our conversations and league leadership, but even when our perspectives differ, my commitment to the players and to this work will not waver." There's no answers in this. I get it. I think this is just an immediate knee-jerk reaction, just trying to say, like, I'm disappointed with how she painted me, but there's no...
Kelsey Plum, the WNBPA's first vice president, revealed, "It feels almost more that we are presented the further away we are. This isn't just about one issue. It's a complete breakdown on multiple fronts." Chelsea Gray, a union player representative, confirmed the talks are stalled on market share, its salaries, its players' safety, its everything. This fundamental disconnect suggests the two sides aren't just haggling over numbers. They have entirely different visions for the future of the sport. The heart of this battle is a fight over revenue sharing. The players are demanding a system where their pay is directly tied to the league's booming business, much like the NBA model. This is a direct response to their current situation, where the salary cap is predetermined with only modest annual raises, completely disconnected from actual revenue explosions.
Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability.
Here's why players are so furious. While the league's revenue has skyrocketed, the percentage of that revenue paid to them has actually plummeted. Analysis shows player compensation fell from 11% of league revenue in 2021 to under 7% in 2025. This means that as the league's $2.2 billion media rights deal set to begin in 2026 and record expansion fees pour in, the very athletes driving this growth are seeing their shares shrink. The consequences of failure are staggering. A work stoppage would threaten the entire 2026 season, risking everything from the debut of expansion teams in Portland and Toronto to the league's unprecedented momentum. History offers a grim warning. The 1994-95 NHL lockout, which occurred during a similar period of explosive growth for that league, fizzled its momentum, and it took years for the NHL to catch up again.
At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, "Well, only the losers complain about the refs."
For the WNBA, a league finally breaking into the mainstream after nearly 3 decades, the cost of alienating a newly enlarged and passionate fan base could be incalculable. As one sports law expert noted, while a brief confrontation might be manageable, a protracted dispute will absolutely have an adverse effect on the fans. This crisis of leadership directly threatens those negotiations. The Players' Union has accused the league of trying to run out the clock, a tactic the WNBA has denied. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has stated the league wants to balance increasing player salaries with the ability to have a path to profitability. But players like Sophie Cunningham are now publicly questioning whether the league's leadership, filled with great business people, actually don't know ST about basketball.
The league is crumbling. Your league that you should be a leader of is crumbling in front of your eyes. You have coaches crashing out. You have players getting injured. You have all of these things happening, and you're like, doo-doo-doo. Everyone complains about the refs in every sport. And if you complain about them, then you're also a loser.
Reports have surfaced that even figures within the NBA are questioning if Engelbert, with her corporate background, is the right leader to navigate this delicate and highly charged player relations crisis. The question is no longer just about a few comments. It's about whether she can secure the future of the league without it tearing itself apart. This is no longer just a contract dispute. It is a defining moment for the WNBA. The players have answered the call with record-breaking performances and have united in their demand for a fair partnership. As Kelsey Plum powerfully stated, players have answered the call, and I think it's the league's turn to take that step with us.
And Coach Stephanie White also responded to Fee's statement, and she said, "I have a lot of respect for Fee. I'm thankful that we have strong women that are willing to say the things that matter and say the things that will move the needle for change." How things unfold after this are going to be very telling about the future of
The outcome of these tense negotiations will determine not just the players' paychecks, but the very soul and structure of the WNBA for a generation come. So where does this leave us? The world of the WNBA has been irrevocably changed. What Napheesa Collier exposed was more than just a private disagreement. It was a deep and festering rot at the highest level of the sport. It's a story of a commissioner who players feel doesn't value them, a league office that dismisses their safety concerns, and a breaking point that has united every locker room in a common cause. The genie is out of the bottle, and there is no putting it back.
Sophie Cunningham has clapped back at Cathy Engelbert, and this is a great post here from Sophie. So Sophie Cunningham on Instagram. So get ready to take your fine, Sophie. Get ready to take your fine. People only know Cathy because of Caitlin. She's the most delusional leader our league has ever seen. And it shouldn't even be about our commissioner in the first place.
This is no longer just a sports story. It's a case study in what happens when leadership fundamentally misreads a moment and the people is supposed to serve. For years, the narrative was about the league's struggle for survival. But now, the conversation has violently shifted. It's about the fight for the soul of the league that is suddenly, explosively thriving. The players are no longer asking for a seat at the table. They are demanding to help build a new one, recognizing that they are not just employees, but the primary architects of the league's newfound wealth and cultural relevance. The alleged comments about being grateful and getting on their knees were not just insults. They were a revelation of a top-down corporate mentality that is utterly ill-equipped to handle the passionate, player-driven ecosystem that is modern sports. It's the old guard clashing with new generation that knows its worth and is not afraid to leverage it. The unity we are witnessing is unprecedented.
I know you're talking about Fee's interview, and I think when it comes down to it, I think I agree with everything she said. We're at a really important time in the league, and changes need to be made. And so you're seeing her talk about that, and I'm really proud of her for making that statement today.
This isn't a faction of stars versus role players or veterans versus rookies. From Aya Wilson to Caitlin Clark, from Sophie Cunningham to Angel Reese, the solidarity is absolute. This is a collective realization that the value of one player's rising tide lifts all boats, and that a threat to one, whether it's disrespectful comments, unsafe playing conditions, or unfair compensation, is a threat to all. They have watched the league capitalize on their rivalries and personalities to drive engagement, and they are now insisting that the business model reflects their central role in that success. The players have drawn their line in the sand, not just in the sand court, but in the boardrooms where their futures are being decided. The question now is, what will the league do about it? The owners and the commissioner stand at a historic crossroads. One path leads to a protracted, ugly, and mutually destructive labor war that could sacrifice the incredible momentum of this season on the altar of stubbornness.
And so, there was clearly more going on behind the scenes than we thought there was. And a lot of us thought that there was a lot going on behind the scenes. A lot of people had some wild conspiracies that this whole thing was, just a big conspiracy to hold the W down. And you know what? Some of you guys might have been right. I'm looking forward to see how this all plays out over the next couple.
A lockout in 2026 will be a catastrophic unforced error, telling millions of new fans that the powers in charge are willing to shut down the very product they just learned to love over refusal to share the wealth fairly. It would validate every criticism of being out of touch and risk alienating a fan base that is emotionally invested in the players, not necessarily the league office. The other path requires humility and a dramatic course correction. It means the owners and Cathy Engelbert must not just hear, but truly listen.
Look, Becky Hammond just come out and said it, and I've been telling you guys, there's physicality in the NBA, but this is different. I've been saying this is different for how long? Becky Hammond just said, yeah, we got coaches that said if this happened in the NBA, they would be having flat-ass fist fights. It doesn't happen like that. They've got control. It's regulated. This league is not policing its own product and its own.
It involves coming to the bargaining table with a transformative offer that includes a significant direct share of league revenue for the players, real investment in charter flights and officiating, and a genuine cultural reset that treats the athletes as partners, not petitioners. This is not a sign of surrender. It is the smartest business decision available. Securing a long-term deal with the players who are driving this golden era is the only way to ensure stable, exponential growth. The potential is staggering. A true partnership could see the WNBA rival other major sports leagues in popularity and profitability within a decade.
She's finished. If there is a league for 2026, Cathy Engelbert's not going to be in charge of that league. If I'm Adam Silver, for negotiation purposes, I am taking Cathy Engelbert away from the negotiation tables as soon as possible.
But that future is impossible without trust. This is bigger than basketball. It's a narrative about power, respect, and equity playing out on a national stage. The players have done their part. They have delivered legendary performances, broken every record, and captured the world's attention. They have shown up. Now, the burden of action rests solely with the league. Will they stand with the players who are the heart and soul of the game, or will they stay loyal to a leadership style that appears to have lost the room completely? The answer will determine not just the 2026 season, but the legacy of the WNBA for the next 30 years. This story is still unfolding, and every fan has a voice. Let us know in the comments. Do you believe the league can fix this with its current leadership? Or is it time for a fundamental change at the top? If you want to stay on top of every single development in this historic showdown, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. The next chapter in this story will be the most important one yet.